I'm doing music in society. Music is one of the oldest forms of entertainment or communication. It's thought to be about maybe 50,000 years old or older because they don't really know. It's assumed that when people started moving away from Africa, that's when they started making music. Really, it's not the same music that you think of nowadays. It's more like mimicking sounds in nature to provoke like prosperity in the crops, or to like lure animals that they were hunting. And then once it moved on, it's been around for probably 50,000 years, it's believed. Music is influenced by culture in many different ways. Social and economic organization, experience, climate, the general morale of the people. These are some old Greek instruments that were found in, they're probably one of the oldest known instruments that they found. And they're just like little flutes, kind of. First of all, there's nowadays the most popular way to carry music is through portable media, and it's becoming easier and easier for people to carry music with them. And if they can carry whatever kind of music they like, and it's relatively inexpensive. iPods are probably the most famous. You guys have probably all heard of them. Approximately 54 million were sold last year, and 240 million, or 240 billion altogether. There's 4 models. There's the iPod Shuffle, Nano, Classic, and then the Touch. It's not really. Also, cell phones have the capability to hold music now, so people do that a lot. Nobody really knows how music was, who invented music or where it came from. It's just assumed that it came from the people kind of filtering away from Africa. And it's said that music is apparent in all cultures, everywhere, since prehistory. So, music is defined. Music is defined as an art of sound and time that expresses emotions and ideas, and its medium is sound. It's just like any other art, except it's audible, not visual. It was used as ways to pray or to honor the deities, to gain prosperity, like both crops, and to get rain, and other things. It's broken up into a few different eras, and the first one is early music. It's from 500 to 1760 AD. There is music before that, but it's not really anything relevant. It's defined as the classical European and Renaissance music. It was, the first part of that was called medieval music. It consisted largely of like flutes and pan flutes and recorders and stuff, mostly little wood instruments. There wasn't a whole lot of vocals. The next part is common practice. That was from about 1760 to 1900, or 1940, I guess. It's pretty much classical music. It's also called the classical era. And the first little section of that is the first couple hundred years is called the Baroque era. And Baroque is Portuguese for misshapen pearl. And it's a reference to like the architecture and things of that time. They weren't really they were a lot different than they had used to be. The next little section is from 1750 to 1820. It's the most famous it's called the classical era. It's when most of the famous operas and things like that came out. That's Beethoven and Mozart. That was their time period. And the next section is called Romanticism. It was more about, it wasn't really, it was a lot different. It was mainly just to express feelings and emotions more than anything else. That hadn't really been done before. It was pretty formal before that. The music of the 20th century is probably you're most familiar with. The 40s and 50s was a period of rock and roll, and it was just this new era where people were free to do whatever they felt like doing, and they started listening to music like from Elvis. He was one of the most famous ones, obviously. And the 60s were a period of free thinking and just overall freedom, and a lot. There's bands such as the Beatles, Creedence Clearwater Revival, all kinds of different bands that you probably still listen to today that are, I don't know, they just leave a lasting impression on the generation of the 60s. The 70s, a new type of music came out. It's now called classic rock, and it was pretty much the same as the 60s, except it was just a little more, I don't know, it was a little more loud and obnoxious. It was almost like a revolution against the previous generation, or not a revolution, but a rebellion. And there was disco came out in the 70s. That was a new thing. It was just a weird kind of electronic music that people seem to like to dance to a lot. It was a weird age. The 80s and 90s were different. There was no real dominant type of music then. It was mainly just whatever anybody could do, and there was so many different kinds of music during that time. There was rap and punk rock and all different kinds of music that came out in the 80s and 90s. So anyway, no matter what time period, music has always had an influence on people, whether it's like starting a relationship and love songs, or just like a joyful noise to express happiness or sadness or anything like that. It's greatly important, according to most people. Music is just one of those simple things that everyone can enjoy, regardless of social status or societal rank. And we should take advantage of what we have.